guys, it's Dom, and today we're doing a wrap-up and a TBR video. So may the 4th be with you. I'm not wearing anything Star Wars, and like by the time I upload this, it won't even be Star Wars Day anymore, but whatever. So may the 4th be with you. 4th. And in this video, we're going to do an April wrap-up and a May TBR. I read 9 or 10 books in April. I don't really remember. I need to count. Which is a record for me. Like, my reading goal this year was supposed to be 30 books, and I'm going to surpass that. I'm already, I think, 6 books ahead of schedule, and it's all thanks to quarantine and reading manga. So, we're gonna jump right into it because my camera battery is not okay. So the first book I read in the month of April was Volume 4 of Tokyo Ghoul, and this one, I can't really, like, describe these volumes anymore because if you don't read the first one, then like I'm going to spoil it if I keep saying the plot, if that makes sense. So Volume 4, all I can really say is that I gave it like 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was good, but it was very, very slow going, especially after Volume 3. Volume 3 was just action-packed the whole time. And when it came to this volume, like, so many chapters, but so very little actually happened. So slow going, but it was good. Then I read Volume 5, and this one I gave 4.5 stars, and it was a lot better. Like, it was a lot action-packed. It was just very, very choppy. I thought the cut to Riza's story would have worked better if someone was telling it to Kaneki rather than having it just cut to it and us seeing it, if that makes any sort of sense. Like, it was a flashback, but it didn't work well, and like the sudden cut to the CCG, is it called CCG? Yeah, the sudden cuts to CCG throughout this volume were off-putting, and it broke the flow. It could also be because I find the CCG portions very, very boring, and I'd rather go back to the ghouls themselves. Then I read Volume 6. I gave this 4.5 stars because I liked it. For some reason I didn't write down why I liked it and why it's not 5 stars, so I don't actually remember what about it I wasn't fond of. I'll just blame it on the CCG. The next book I finished was not part of Tokyo Ghoul, because then I slowed down the reading of Tokyo Ghoul because I wanted to participate in the Owl's Readathon, and I chose the career Magizoologist, and I did complete it. I only needed 4 books though, but I did complete it. And I'm not going to say like what prompt was which, I'm just going to talk about the books. But the first book I read for it was Goliath by Tom Gould. This is a David and Goliath retelling where Goliath is just a friendly giant. He's just sitting there, minding his own business, and he's like the 5th weakest giant, something like that. He's not the weakest, but he's the 5th weakest. But then his side, I forgot what they were called. Apparently I don't know my Bible stories well. The Philistines. So they send him, they're like, hey, you're a giant, go scare the other army. And he was like, oh, I don't really want to, but he was forced to. And if we know the Bible story, we know how it ends. I was really excited to read this because I thought it would be so cute, but I ended up giving it only 2.5 out of 5 stars. While I was reading it, I was enjoying it, like not to the fullest obviously, but I was okay with it. But then once I put the book down, that's when I was like, okay, I didn't really like that. I was expecting more than what was provided. It was mostly just Goliath sitting around talking to this little boy who was cute. He was the cutest character of this whole thing. But it's just sitting around repeating lines, and like there's not a lot of dialogue. The panels are just mostly drawings, so you're kind of just, and they're not even like action-packed drawings. He's just sitting there. See, I was expecting more of like Goliath's internal thoughts because he is supposed to be friendly in this. Like I was expecting him just to do more than what he did, I guess. So yeah, 2.5 stars. I'm really upset because I was looking forward to this book. I remember when it wasn't showing up in Amazon and I was so upset, and then when it finally did, I ordered it right away, and now I want to unhaul it. So next I read The Conference of the Birds by Ransom Riggs, and I gave this 2.75 out of 5 stars, and I'm really tempted to just bring it down to 2, honestly. I can't really describe what this book is about without spoiling the first 4 books. This is the 5th book of the Miss Peregrine series. And you know what? I enjoyed the first 4 books. I gave the 4th one 5 out of 5 stars. And I was very, very worried when I saw how significantly shorter this one is compared to the 4th one. But I was like, I'm going to go into it with an open mind. And I can't really describe what I didn't like about it without spoiling this book because I just didn't like plot points. That was my problem with this book. What I can say is that at the end of the 4th book, I was expecting this to be just about Jacob and Nora. Just those two. Jacob finally breaking away from Miss Peregrine. Because honestly, I think Miss Peregrine is insufferable. Like she's like she's suffocating these children who can grow up now. And it's like, Jacob, you can still grow. Please run away from her. You are 16, 17 years old. Grow into your own person. That's what I wanted. That's what I expected. Didn't get that. Wasn't just the 2 of them at all. everyone said some like rude stuff to him in the 4th book that did not sit right with me. It was thrown out the window in this one. By the end of the book, honestly, the 4th book was just totally disregarded. I can't explain why without spoiling the book, so I know this is like a bad review, but it's like, why are you rewriting this? I don't know, like the 3rd book ended, it was a perfect ending. Like they did so much stuff to get to that conclusion in the 3rd book just for it all to be disregarded in this new trilogy, and it makes no sense to me. There was also like 2 different plots to this book going on, and they were brought together in the end, but like I just thought it was executed poorly. Some of these characters just felt so flat or were just complete throwaways. I've said this in other reviews of this book or other times I talked about this book, but Ransom Riggs introduced way too many characters in this series, and like it just feels like he doesn't know what to do with them, so he just throws them away, kind of. And like I said, these books read like he's writing them as he goes, no solid plot, and this one applies to that. I don't know. Will I still read the last book? Yes, because I still have a lot of questions. Then I read volume 7 of Tokyo Ghoul, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars because this was the turning point of the series. You know how we see Ken Kaneki, like with the gray hair, scary mask, the black nails? That's where this volume comes in, and it was just groundbreaking, seeing his past, seeing him cry. He cried, so I cried. Everyone wanted to jump in to help him. Toka, I love her. Groundbreaking work. The next book I read was The Legendary Ireland, Myths and Legends of Ireland by Annie Massey. This is just a collection of the myths and legends of Ireland, like some of the gods and the goddesses, especially of Celtic history. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It's everything I wanted. When I went to Ireland, I just wanted to learn more about the stories and like the gods and goddesses. The book gave it to me. The only problem I had was like it wasn't told, the stories weren't in chronological order, which is what I would have liked to see. And really that's it. The photographs in this were like remarkable, and it was cool learning about some of the spots that I myself actually went to. For example, you learn how Giant's Causeway was formed. I went to Giant's Causeway. I've also noticed that apparently I look like a lot of Irish gods and goddesses, you know, like blonde, like golden blonde like me. Can't tell now because depression, fair skin, these green eyes, so I'm like, where are my men and Jules? Like, they're all rich, they get all the men, and it's not happening to me. The last book I read for the Owls Readathon is I Am David by Anne Holm. This is about a boy who runs away from the gulags, and he's trying to make his way to Denmark, and it's kind of like right after World War II, so I want to say like 1950s, and it's just his adventures through then. I give it 3 out of 5 stars because I adored his personal prayers to his god. He doesn't know much about religion, so he kind of had to make up his own god. It was kind of cool, like, discovering the world in the eyes of someone who's new to it. Like, for example, you have, like, just because of detail, that's how you know he's running away from a gulag. Like, otherwise you wouldn't have known that's what he was running away from. He calls it a concentration camp a few times. It's not the ones from World War II. I would definitely equate it to the ones, like, in Russia and the Soviet Union. But I gave it 3 out of 5 stars just because it was so slow going in the beginning, and then there was a lot of telling, and it was just because of I was always forgetting that David was 12, just because the way he read was like he was 8 years old, which I guess is kind of on purpose because he's so brand new to the world, but I don't know. So 3 out of 5 stars. Yeah. Kind of sad because I was expecting a lot from this book, but I didn't get it. The last book I read in April as a whole was Tokyo Ghoul Volume 8, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, and again, I can't tell you about the plot, but I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because the CCG was very prominent in this, and those parts dragged so much. I was bored. I love the ghouls though, and I just want more of the ghouls, and then now Ken Kaneki is saying peace out to his friends, so I guess this is kind of spoiling, and I just feel so bad for Toka. I wanted to hug her at the end, and now I need to read the last few volumes. So now we're going to get into my May TBR, and I have 7 to 8 books on this TBR for May. Will I get to all of them? No, that is so ambitious, especially with what I'm reading, but it's a goal. So the first book I want to finish is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I started this in April, but it's very, very slow going. I have a very hard time with J.R.R. Tolkien's style of writing. But I mentioned on Twitter, like, I'm only 80 pages into this book, and it's so boring and yet so entertaining at the same time. I don't know what it is, but I still want to keep reading even though I'm bored out of my mind. It reminds me of like campfire stories. There's a way stories are orally told to you versus written, and this is written like an oral campfire story, which I think is why it's so entertaining. And because I've read The Fellowship of the Ring before, and I've been told The Hobbit is better than the Lord of the Rings trilogy by multiple people, so maybe that helps. Therefore, the next 3 books I want to read in May are the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Listen, I know I just said I read Fellowship of the Ring and it was boring, but I read it when I was way too young for it. I think I was on my way to 8th grade, so I had to be like 12, 13 years old when I read it, and I was bored out of my mind. But I'm willing to chalk that up to age and try again. I bought these 2 years ago while I was in New Zealand, so it's about time I get started on. And the trilogy I want to read after that is the Hunger Games trilogy. I'm holding these backwards, but it's the Hunger Games. It's the Hunger Games trilogy because the prequel is coming out this month, and I already pre-ordered it. It's going to arrive on the 26th. Will I read these in time? No. What's probably going to happen is that Lord of the Rings is going to take too long and I won't get to these till June. But I need to reread these because I don't remember too much of them. So I can reread, or not reread, I didn't even read it in the first place. So I can read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, whatever it's called. Fun fact, I actually had to read The Hunger Games in high school. My high school was that school that made you did summer reading. So this was what I had to read going on to freshman year. And then I was just obsessed with the others. But I remember I can remember stuff from these 2, but I can remember absolutely nothing from Mockingjay except for like the very end. So that's it. And it's nice though because I've been meaning to reread these. You know what else I've been meaning to reread? It's Twilight and Stephenie Meyer saving 2020 by coming out with Midnight Sun. So I couldn't even get on the website this morning. It crashed because all of y'all were on it and I just wanted to see the news when I woke up at noon because that's where my life is at. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's going to be an ambitious month, but we'll see. And of course I'm going to read more of Tokyo Ghoul. I just don't know how that's going to go, so that's why I didn't want to include it in the TBR. But we'll see. Will I surpass 30 books by maybe June? Probably. And there was no reason for me to like I don't want to say downgrade, but like, because usually my reading goal is 50, but to decrease it, I'll say. So I'm going to go eat dinner and watch The Golden Girls and play Animal Crossing, because I haven't done that in a while. I need to get my town to 4 stars. So thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, like it, subscribe, you know the jargon, and I'll see you guys later. Ciao tutti!